Hello and welcome to Did You Know Gaming Extra. In celebration of Animal Crossing New Horizons release on the Nintendo Switch, we're taking a look at the villager-centric life simulator. Fans of this series love it for the small moments and little details, so we're going to start with some small or sly references hidden within the series games. But before we get into the trivia, this episode of Did You Know Gaming is brought to you by Honey, a free money-saving browser extension that automatically finds and applies coupons, getting you the lowest possible prices at checkout. Finding coupon codes that actually work can be tiresome, but Honey does the work for you. You can see how simple it is to install, literally 2 clicks and it's done. It was very easy for us to save $6 on this large Papa John's pizza and drink. At checkout, this little box drops down and all you have to do is click apply coupons and watch the price drop. This service works on most takeout sites like Uber Eats, and even with gaming and electronics retailers like GameStop and Newegg. By not having Honey installed, you're literally passing up free money. To install Honey, simply go to joinhoney.com/DYKG and add Honey to your browser for free. You can also click the link in the description down below and see how much you can save. One of the newest obscure references in the series can be found in New Horizons. The character Gulliver is known for dropping references to big Nintendo franchises like Mario and Zelda in his dialogue. However, sometimes the character will give a sly nod to some lesser known gems in Nintendo's back catalogue. At one point while using a cell phone, Gulliver will say, "I haven't gotten reception this sweet and bubbly since I washed up at old Coral Cola." This is a reference to the tropical village of the same name within Nintendo's tragically underrated 8-bit action-adventure title, Star Tropics. The game is rarely referenced in Nintendo games, likely because it was never released in Japan. Another couple of little nods that can be found in this latest title are references to another huge Nintendo franchise, Splatoon. Keen members of the Splatoon subreddit have revealed that when fishing in New Horizons, upon catching a squid, the player may claim, "I caught a squid, it's off the hook," a reference to Pearl and Marina from Splatoon, who go by the name Off the Hook. It's also possible the player will say, "I caught a squid, I had an inkling I might." This is of course a reference to the humanoid squid hybrids from Splatoon, the Inklings. As we were just saying, part of Animal Crossing is about the details, like decorating your home. A recurring piece of decor that can be found in the series is the large space console. While the buttons and dials on it may seem randomly placed at first, there is actually a reference hidden in plain sight. On the far right of the console, there are 4 buttons arranged in a diamond shape, coloured blue, green, yellow and red. This is a nod to the Japanese Super Famicom and European Super Nintendo controllers, which had multicoloured Y, X, B and A buttons. Another reference in the series involves the now iconic gyroids. In the Japanese game, they're called haniwa, after the terracotta figures of the same name that were made for ritual use and often buried with the dead. The reference we're talking about, however, is in their sales price. Gyroids are worth 828 bells. This could be a bit of fun Japanese wordplay, as in Japanese, 828 can be pronounced haniwa, as the number 8 can sometimes be read as ha or wa. So its sales price is essentially also its name in Japanese. As well as buying and selling, Animal Crossing bolsters its collection aspects by getting players to obtain some items exclusively through activities they can perform. This includes digging up fossils, which you can use to either decorate your house or, if you're feeling particularly generous, display them in the museum for your townsfolk to enjoy as well. The fossil of the mighty Seismosaur was first introduced in Wild World, and viewing it at a museum will prompt the curator and scholar Blathers the Owl to inform the player that the Seismosaurus is the longest of all known dinosaurs. However, the fossil was later renamed in New Leaf to correspond to the reclassification made by real-world paleontologists, who now believe that the sauropod remains were not actually evidence of a new genus, but more likely an abnormally large diplodocus. Nintendo's dedication to scientific accuracy is pretty darn impressive considering Animal Crossing's population of walking, talking cartoon animals. Animal Crossing as we know it today is steeped in culture on a global scale, with changes made to items and world events during localization to ensure that the game remained accessible to players outside of Japan. However, many uniquely Japanese aspects remain. For example, Dharma dolls are egg-shaped wishing dolls available to buy from Tom Nook's shop to furnish and decorate the player's home. They are also a direct reference to real-world Daruma dolls, symbols of good luck and perseverance. The mustachioed and monocled faces painted on the dolls represent the founder of Zen Buddhism, Bodhidharma, who practiced meditation and self-realization. Players will note that the eyes of Dharma dolls are blank when purchased, but interacting with them will fill in one eye. Traditionally given as a gift, real-world Daruma doll eyes are also blank when sold. The recipient then fills one eye when they undertake a goal, and then the other one once they have achieved it. Once both eyes are filled, the Daruma doll becomes a symbol of enlightenment and achievement. Dharma dolls as a furniture item adhere to the Animal Crossing's feng shui mechanics, increasing the player's luck if they're placed on the east side of a room. Placing a Daruma doll in your home promotes spiritual peace and becoming one with nature, which is fundamentally what Animal Crossing is all about. We mentioned on DidYouKnowGaming before that Luna and her dream suite is a reference to the Baku or Dream Eater, but it seems Blanca, the genderless, faceless feline that appears sporadically throughout the series, is likely to join Luna in the roster of Animal Crossing characters based on Japanese folklore. Blanca is a trickster by nature and will take the form of existing villagers in their homes during New Leaf's April Fool's Day event, leaving players to guess which version is fake. This minigame mimics the behaviour of the Noperabo, a faceless ghost that often uses its ability to disguise itself by impersonating someone familiar to the person who encounters it. Its facelessness can assist in its pranks. Character wardrobes are also afflicted by the occasional reference as well. One such clothing item was glimpsed in New Leaf's tourism trailer, the Team NTDO shirt that players could purchase in-game, NTDO being an abbreviation of Nintendo. This shirt is also emblazoned with the year 1889, which is the year Nintendo was first founded by Fusajiro Yamauchi in Kyoto, Japan. At this time, Nintendo was a small-time playing card company, and only began their shift into the toy and video game industry in the mid-60s. In the original Animal Crossing, a villager will tell the player that someone borrowed their Pokemon Pikachu and hasn't returned it, then requests that the player assume the role of a one-time repo man and take it back. This does not actually refer to the Pokemon itself, but rather Nintendo's own answer to the Tamagotchi, released in 1998 and featuring the electric mouse himself. Rather than encouraging the player to provide basic care for their virtual pet, the Pokemon Pikachu adopted Pokemon Yellow's progression of befriending Pikachu over time. The built-in pedometer would reward the player with watts every 20 steps, a currency used to buy Pikachu gifts and, weirdly, to gamble with. Another reference can be found in Animal Crossing's music. The song KK Condor was originally named Peru no Uta, or Song of Peru in the Japanese games. This may have been changed to avoid referring to a real-world country. Despite this, the piece sounds very similar to Song of the Condor, a traditional song of the Andean people who lived in what is now Peru. One of the lesser known pieces of Animal Crossing software is the Animal Crossing Calculator DSiWare and eShop app. Although the app isn't much more than just a calculator, it does contain a few Easter eggs of its own. If the user enters an equation and the result is a sequential number, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, Tom Nook and some flowers will appear from the bottom of the screen after the player presses equals. And if the resulting number contains the same digits, such as 777, Nook and a corresponding number of balloons will float up from the bottom of the screen. And now it's time for this episode's random piece of trivia. Today we'll be taking a look at the Legacy of Goku trilogy for the Game Boy Advance. The developer of the trilogy, Webfoot Technologies, managed to get the license for Dragon Ball games purely by their CEO being in the right place at the right time. They acquired the license just before the series had started to blow up in the West, and the studio's small size was clear for all to see. The first Legacy of Goku title had the same development time as its two sequels, but the game's quality is noticeably lacking when compared to the Legacy of Goku 2 and 3. This is because the only people on the development team were a handful of programmers and an intern. The rest of the team that worked on the entire trilogy weren't actually hired until halfway through development of the original Legacy of Goku. A lot of their time after being hired was spent cleaning up and fixing what they could before release. Everything made for the games, content not from the manga or anime, were also made by Webfoot Technologies. Though their design doc had to be approved by their publisher Atari, the licensor Toei, and Nintendo. The team originally wanted to have the games have different names as well, with the second and third games being titled Legacy of Goku 2 Future Shock and Legacy of Goku 3 Boo's Fury. However, likely at the request of Atari, the final names of these games were simply Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku 2 and Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury. Speaking of games on Nintendo consoles, did you also know that Sega once pitched a Metroid title to Nintendo for the GameCube? Or that there's a very lewd message hidden in the code of Avalanche Software's Meet the Robinsons? Why not check out our video on GameCube Games Trivia? Thanks for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry if it sounds a little bit different, we're all on lockdown. I'm sitting on my desk at home now. So maybe it comes a little more chilled because I'm not standing in the booth. I don't know, probably sounds a bit worse, but you know, still making content. Stay safe out there, guys. Have a great day. Have a great week. Don't know what time of the week is going out, but have a good one anyway. Whatever. Peace.